Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I thought I would do something slightly different today and do a film review. So a couple of hours ago I just came out from seeing the new Avengers film, Infinity War, and yeah, I thought I'd share with you some of my thoughts. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, one, if you've been living under a space rock, and two, Infinity War is, I think it's the third Avengers film now, but it's the culmination of a lot of different films that have come together to result in Thanos, who is this very awful villain, wanting to collect the Infinity Stones, which are these magical stones. There's 6 of them, which basically whoever holds all of these stones has infinite power to do whatever they want. So there's been 18 films so far in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the 19th, and it spanned over 10 years apparently. And through the scenes from the end credits or scenes littered throughout a lot of the different films, we've started to build this picture of Thanos and who he is and what he wants to do. So in this film, all of the Avengers, including other characters such as the gang from Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, Black Panther and everyone from Wakanda, all come together to try and stop Thanos. So for a lot of hardcore fans, this film has been a long time waited for. That's not the expression, but you know what I'm trying to say. My favourite films from the franchise definitely are Thor, the first one, Black Panther and Winter Soldier. Okay, so bearing all of that in mind, if you haven't seen the film yet, please stop watching now. There's spoilers from this point, and then when you've seen it, you can come back and watch then. Okay, so I'll start off with the things I loved about it. So in general, I think they did a really good job combining all of these different characters who obviously have had all of their own independent films together. I felt it worked quite well, especially Thor with the Guardians. I thought that was really well done. It was funny. It didn't seem mismatched. Obviously with Spider-Man and Iron Man, you already have the history from Homecoming. I really liked Doctor Strange in the mix there. I really loved Star-Lord's jealousy of Thor. I thought that was really funny. And I liked when Thor went off with Rocket and Groot to go and do their own thing. So yeah, in general, I think they did quite a good job of mixing all of these very big characters together. On a related note, I think they did quite well in sharing the screen time between the different groups and what they were up to and the different tasks they had. I think at times it felt a bit jarring going from kind of, you know, one world to the other, or one minute you were in Wakanda, next minute you were on a planet. But I think in general they did that quite well. I would have liked to have seen more of Wakanda in terms of like more dialogue with Black Panther. As I said before, Black Panther was one of my favourites, but I understand that because obviously Black Panther wasn't released until after they'd finished working on this film, they had no idea of how successful Black Panther would be, so obviously maybe they would have included more if that were the case. I've seen a few criticisms of the CGI. I mean, personally I didn't notice any dodgy CGI, but I don't know if that's because I was so wrapped up in everything, it didn't really appear apparent to me. Although I must say, Thanos' face, this beard chin contraption, just does not work for me at all, but I'll get onto that in the cons in a bit more detail in a bit. But with Thor, I really enjoyed Thor's part in this film, and as I said as well before, Thor is one of my favourite characters, so I'm a bit biased, but every time he called Rocket a rabbit, it really made me laugh. And I think his kind of part in the film was enjoyable, probably one of my favourite parts to watch. I also loved Teenage Groot. I think that was quite a cool thing to add as almost like a background thing, how he was a bit stroppy, and I thought that was really funny. Yeah, and when Captain America made his reappearance, I thought that was done really well. It had kind of that epic feel to it when he came back in, so I enjoyed that part too. I also think they did a good job with the fight scenes. In general, for me, I find if there's too much action for a long period of time, it makes me zone out a bit. Like if there's too much punching or a load of minions all rushing towards the main characters or too many big explosions, for me, I don't know what it is, but it makes me zone out a bit. But I didn't find that this much with this film, and considering its running time, it's 2.5 hours long, I didn't find it to be too long. Like I wasn't looking at my watch thinking, you know, wrap it up anytime soon. So I think when a film's quite long, that's a good sign that you're not clock watching. Okay, so now let's get on to the cons, the negative Nancys. For me, I think it was overly funny. And what I mean by that is there were some genuine moments of comedy, like when Thor was calling Rocket Rabbit all the time, or some of the jokes made me genuinely laugh out loud. But I think a problem Marvel has in general, which DC doesn't suffer from, is its need to punctuate every heartfelt moment with a joke. So for example, when Gamora was asking Peter, you know, if Thanos captures me, please kill me, promise me you'll shoot me because I don't, you know, I know something he needs to know. And you know, it's a very heartfelt moment. She's basically asking her boyfriend or her love interest, whatever you want to call him, to kill her and to save the planet, so you know he doesn't get his hands on another stone. And the moment was quite genuine, and you really feel after Peter jokes a little bit and he says okay, and she says please swear on your mother, and he does. And they don't leave you long enough with that moment to really feel emotional or invested before they make a joke. So even though the joke itself was funny, I think it was Drax was eating some nuts or something and he'd been stood there all the time, and the joke was funny, but what happens is you're starting to feel something and then straight away you're dragged out of that moment. And I feel like they do that a lot in general, Marvel, which I think is quite a criticism, to be honest, because what happens then is if you're not really emotionally invested in that situation, or if you're not allowed to really develop feelings about those characters, if and when they die, or if they do die, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as big of a deal. You don't feel as much, it just doesn't feel as real because you're not emotionally invested in them as much, because you haven't had the time to really feel for them. And often the jokes are funny, but they're just not timed very well. And for me, I'll cry at an advert. I sometimes see a cute pigeon in the street, it makes me well up. So it doesn't take a lot for me to feel something, but I struggle to really feel any. Another criticism for me would be one that's shared by a lot of people, it seems, online, and people I've spoke to about it. I just don't think the villains are scary enough. Even though he has this ultimate power of destruction, he's searching for these stones, and he's supposed to be this foreboding character that can, you know, obliterate half of the world with just a click. He doesn't scare me. And again, I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's maybe other people have said it's bad CGI or it's bad character development, or I don't know, but he's just not scary. And I think it's an important thing that a villain who has that much power should be intimidating, at least, even if he's not visually scary. I think the only thing about him which could be scary is the size of him, but still, I don't know, I don't look at him and feel any kind of terror, which, considering his motives, I feel like you should feel that for a villain. Although, shout out to, was it Thor or Iron Man? I think it was Iron Man who called that other weird alien thing Squidward from SpongeBob. That made me giggle. In terms of plot holes, I think in general the plot ran quite smoothly. There was no times I thought something was a bit strange. Although at one point the Hulk said something and then stopped and then continued speaking, and I can't remember what it was now, but I remember it was really jarring, and I don't know if that was an editing mistake or something. But in terms of plot holes, one thing that really bothered me was when Doctor Strange willingly gave up his Infinity Stone to Thanos without so much as a blink of an eye. It was when Thanos had stabbed Iron Man through the chest and essentially was saying, give me the stone or I'll kill Iron Man. And I just don't think it's in Doctor Strange's character, and from what we know about him from his film, his standalone film, from what we know about him and his kind of colleague or friend or partners wanting to protect this stone, that he would have given it over. And I know he went into the future and saw all of the possible endings and he said it was the only way, but I just don't think, you know, in those situations where the villain says, give me something or I'll kill your loved one, and then 9 times out of 10 they killed the loved one anyway. And Iron Man and Doctor Strange have got no history, no relationship. This was the first film they'd ever met. I don't know, I just thought that was a bit of a strange way to do it. I mean, obviously for the plot and for plot development, Thanos had to get the stone somehow, but I don't think willingly handing it over was the best way. I don't know, let me know what you think in the comments about that one, but it just didn't sit right for me, that part. So it was long spoken about and hinted at that in this film there'd be deaths of some important characters. And obviously when you have all of these superheroes together in a very high risk situation, you're bound to have casualties, and that is the way it should be, really. I think sometimes, and it's what shows like Game of Thrones, for example, do really well. They're not afraid to kill off a main character, which I think is quite important. It would be easier for me to tell you who didn't die. At the end, Spider-Man was, I want to say evaporated, disintegrated would be the correct term. Spider-Man was disintegrated, the Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, who else? Star-Lord, Groot, and there's probably a couple I'm missing, but basically a lot of the main characters were killed. And my prediction at the beginning, I thought Iron Man was going to die in this film, because often you'll find in films they set up a plot, like for example Iron Man saying, I want to be a father, this is my last mission, I promise. And then that character ends up dying, so I thought that's what was going to happen. In a way, I guess it's good that that didn't happen, because they were trying to lay like a false paper trail in a way. But when Thanos stabbed Iron Man, again, I thought that was when he was going to die. And the problem I have with these deaths are not that they're the deaths of main characters, because as I said before, sometimes, you know, people do need to die. That sounds funny, people do need to die. I sound like Thanos myself. Gotta get me that glove. But the problem I have is that Spider-Man Homecoming 2 has already been announced. Black Panther 2 has already been announced. There's a Guardians film coming out in 2020, I want to say. So it essentially means that these characters are dead. They're going to come back in some form. How? We don't know yet. The end of credit scene showed Nick Fury trying to contact Miss Marvel, who we've not yet seen in the film so far. And she's being marketed as the most powerful hero ever. So whether or not she can do some type of magical voodoo to get people back to life, I'm not sure, but clearly there's 3 films here which they're main characters. Guardians, Groot died. Did Rocket die? I can't remember. You know, these are main characters that are needed for these films. What kind of annoys me about that is it's this whole false death. And again, with the lack of emotion building at the beginning, with too much comedy, if you kill somebody just to bring them back to life, I feel like there's got to be a justifiable story arc in there somewhere. Otherwise, you're just using a time turner and saying, okay, back to life. And it just devalues the kind of emotional aspect of it for me. So for me, really, killing off Iron Man, maybe Captain America, I think Chris Evans' contract actually finished soon, would have made a bit more sense in the kind of grand scheme of things. Okay, so I found a Lee. I'm going to ask Lee what he thought.
What about what?
The film?
Yeah, I know about the movie, but what about it?
What are your predictions? What do you think will happen in the next?
I think they'll somehow bring people back, but I don't understand how you're going to bring back half the world / all of those characters, and if you should. I want to see Black Panther and Spider-Man again. Yeah,
but they're already confirmed. Guardians is confirmed for 2020.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And they killed most of the cast.
Well, anyway, as long as Loki stays dead and Gamora stays dead, at least that's something.
Gunning for blood.
Yeah, I know. At least I want something. Yeah. I don't want all of it to reverse, but some people, of course, you got to bring back. Yeah,
but do you not think they should have just killed Iron Man and had done with it?
Yeah, they could have done that as well. I was actually like choking up a little bit when they stabbed him. I thought, oh, here we go.
But that's what I covered earlier. I don't think there was enough emotional build up.
No. But I think next one it will just be maybe something like an alternate reality, which is a pretty mind-bending thing to do. And obviously Captain Marvel will come into it, but I don't know.
Captain Marvel.
I don't know how.
I think I called her Miss Marvel before. Captain Marvel.
Yeah, there is a Ms. Marvel. It's another character. But anyway, Captain Marvel, I don't know how she's going to reverse all this, or even if she beats Thanos, how does she do? What does she do? I don't understand.
And they evaporated or dissolved Nick Fury. And that nice one from How I Met Your Mother. Can never remember her name.
I think they're going to bring them back. I don't know if they can reverse it via time stone. That would be really lame.
Yeah. A bit like it's just a dream thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I wanted to call you like mystically, psychically, prediction-ly. Nothing really rhymes with Lee. But anyway, thank you for your predictions, for your little popping in.
That's all right.
Your little guest star.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Bye. Awkward. So talking that through, it seems like I have more criticisms than positives about the film. But overall, I did really enjoy it. I just think there was a few things that really, for me, kind of bothered me about the film. But in general, in terms of bringing together lots of different characters from the same universe, I think it did a great job. It's a very enjoyable film. I don't think you necessarily have to have watched every single one of the films to understand the plot. So if you're going with somebody who doesn't know exactly what's going on, I don't think it's necessarily at a disadvantage. But of course, if you've watched them all, it's a more enjoyable experience. But yeah, I'd be very interested to know what you guys think down in the comments below. I've enjoyed doing this. I'm a big cinema goer, so I'm sure I'll do similar videos like this in the future. But yeah, if you've made it to the end, well done. Here's an Infinity Stone for you. Use it wisely. And yes, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.